Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and I am the face behind Lindy Stitches. Welcome back for another FLOSSTUBE chat. I've missed all of you. I've missed interacting with you and I'm so happy to be here today. I am fresh from Florida. Our family got to go down for 2 weeks and melt in the Florida heat because I don't know why anyone goes to Florida or lives there in July. Honestly, we came back and it feels cold here, which is really strange. It's actually cool in Indiana right now, which is bizarre, but enjoyable. Because quite honestly, I got enough swimming in to satisfy me until next summer. So I thought I'd start today's video with 2 things that I'm all into. And I'm totally copying Teresa Kitten Stitcher with this section of my video because I would willingly copy everything that she does. If you're not watching Kitten Stitcher, go on over and check her out. She's so enjoyable. Whenever one of her videos pops up in my feed, I find myself thinking, how long exactly do I have to live my life before I can sit down and watch this video? So 2 things. I am all into the Great American Reading List. I'm sure if you are a reader and you like reading lists as much as I do, because for some reason checking off books on a list that you've read makes you feel good about yourself, I'm sure you've seen this. But I love book lists, and this is put out by PBS and they're doing like shows about it. Honestly, I haven't interacted a lot with this whole thing other than to print out the list and check out the ones that I've read. There's 100 books on this list. They are modern, they are classics, they are from all over the world. Honestly, if I'm going to be a little critical, I think there's too much modern stuff on this list, but nevertheless, 100 books. I had already read 49 of them, which I don't think is like very impressive, but I decided I would go ahead and try to read some for as long as I felt entertained. Because you know how it is, when something starts to feel sloggy and you're not enjoying it, then really what's the point? Reading is for enjoyment. So I have read 3 more books since I printed this out. I enjoyed 2 of them. The first one I read was called A Separate Piece by John Knowles, and it was 5 stars. Amazing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. It was kind of right along my exact taste in how a story is told and the different themes it hit on. So if you haven't read that one, I'd highly recommend it. The second one I read was garbage. I won't say what it was. Okay, I will say what it was. It was Gone Girl, and I had a feeling I wouldn't be super into it. If you've read it halfway through, there is a distinct change in the narrative voice of the woman, and I only put up with so much language when I'm reading, and that one I just stopped reading it. There are 4 or 5 other books on this list that I will never read because of the same reason. Content I know is not going to agree with me at all. You know, if 50 Shades of Grey, which is on this list, wins this competition, I think I might move to Canada. Maybe I'll move to the Netherlands and move in with Needlework. No. Yeah, there's other ones that on here that I know I probably will not read. War and Peace. You know, I've got enough going on in my life without trying to read War and Peace. But yeah, if you've read this, if you've checked out this list and, I don't know, you'd recommend a book off of here, I would love to hear about it. overall, I would vote for To Kill a Mockingbird because I think it is the perfect novel, and I love it so incredibly much. And if you've never read To Kill a Mockingbird, American or not, I beg you to go read it. The second thing I'm all into has to do with Florida and my vacation. I'm all into stitching in a giant hat. I bought this at Walmart for $3 because I got down to Florida and I ended up, because the sun is just so hot and so intense that to sit by the pool, I was putting my beach towel over my head, and I ended up thinking, why don't I just buy a hat? I've never bought one of these big floppy hats before, but I was willing to do it for a Florida vacation because this is the kind of thing a woman wears in Florida. I'm not going to shove it on my head because I don't want to ruin my hair, but I love stitching in this because you can sit in the sun and it's not blazing onto your face. So my modus operandi when I go to the pool is to sit by the side of the pool and get really hot. So just to sit there and stitch until I literally cannot take the temperature anymore, and then I throw off my hat and I jump in the water. And funnily enough, I started wearing this, and my husband confided in me that he has always liked women in these big floppy hats. Who knew? I didn't know. So now I can be further pleasing to him by wearing a big giant hat. Stitch outside in a big giant hat. I highly recommend it. The second thing I have to talk about is a big, huge thank you for your overly generous, over-the-top, amazing, astounding, jaw-dropping response to my latest release, Birds to the Bows. Looks like this. People, holy cow, I can't even describe how encouraging that was to me. So if you bought the pattern, if you had any interaction in any of that positivity, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I kind of let it be known that I was a little insecure about releasing that pattern on my Instagram, and insecurity gone. I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful. I'm shouting. I don't know what to say. It was just really wonderful, and there's now a Facebook group that's doing a stitch along. People are stitching it on different fabrics. They're changing the colors. They are making my heart happy every time I see a post because it's just so much fun. It's so incredibly gratifying to see something that you dreamed up, you created, you put all together, and people are stitching it. Thank you. Good news! On the heels of that great success, I would like to tell you that I am officially signed up to exhibit at Nashville Needlework Market in 2019. Yes! 2019, I'm going to be exhibiting in Nashville, and yes, I'm freaking out, and I'm so excited. And the lists have begun. I am making lists, so many lists. I probably need a list to keep track of my lists because I have a lot to do. And yet, I think I got this. I think I got this. I'm so excited. Okay. Alright, so let's get into the stitching. I haven't showed you a single stitch yet, and I apologize for that. What shall we do first? Whips or finishes? Let's do whips. So before I went to Florida, I made sure I had some easy projects because I knew I'd probably be doing a lot of beside the pool stitching, and you don't stitch a chatelaine beside the pool, especially when there's kids involved. So this was the first thing that I went to town on. This is Coffin Buzz by Plum Street Samplers. It is a freebie on her blog. I had one skein of color and cotton, and I thought that would be enough, but as you can see, I ran out. Like, oh yeah, I didn't quite make it. So I need to find a color that's pretty similar to this one and go ahead and finish up that coffee cup. This is a very quick pattern. I mean, it's a good size. Here's my hand for comparison. But it stitches up very quick. The letters go very quickly. There are some like stars and like different little doodads around here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do those or not. Either way, I kind of need to finish my coffee cup. Tracy P is doing a birthday stitch along with this piece. I'm sure you've seen, so if you'd like to do this really cute pattern, check that out on Instagram. So that one will be finished relatively quickly. And I'm so glad that I prepared for another easy pattern for myself because, number one, that one went quick. Number two, I just needed something else easy. So before I had left, this is always what I do to myself. I'm always like, right before a vacation, like, I want to prep something new. And because I don't have a big stash of patterns, printed patterns that I've ordered that I like, that are ready to start, I don't have anything to start. I have to go get something to start. Or maybe it's along the lines of, I think most of the patterns that I have like in my stash are bigger, I don't know, I looked through everything, I'm like, I don't want to, these are all too big, they're too complicated, I need something easy and I need it now. I didn't have enough time to order something, so I had to look at designers who have PDFs ready, and Pineberry Lane falls into that category. I love Pineberry Lane's patterns. They're adorable, and so I went ahead and ordered this PDF. I'm DQ snapping right now. Shoo. It's part of the Fancy Blacket series. Fancy Blacket is this adorable little witch. I think this is so cute. I went ahead and grunged up a piece of fabric really quickly. And sorry, I have a hanging thread. Here's how far I am. This is so cute. I love it. Right now she looks like she's doing some sort of incantation, but she's going to have a broom. Really cute and going really quickly. It's bigger than I thought it was. Does anyone have this problem? Like, I measured this out. I saw how big it was going to be. I always do this. I've measured it out, but I don't really understand the size until I've started stitching it. And it's always bigger than I think it's going to be. Anyone else have that spatial weirdness? Alright. Is everyone transitioning to fall stitching? I feel the urge to transition to fall, and fall is not anytime soon. I guess I'm just gonna throw this. Alright, next piece. I did not put any stitches in on my bigger pieces in Florida. All this I had done before we left. This is my Autumn Cat sampler. The artwork is by Nancy Rossi, and you can get this off the Kooler Design Studio website. Last time you saw it, I had finished this bottom row of motifs, and I decided I was just gonna attack this grapevine with autumn leaves because you should see the pattern. It's crazy. I mean, crazy. I have not backstitched this yet, but this took me forever. Yeah, it took so long. I'm talking like 2.5 weeks or something. Granted, I don't stitch all day, every day. It's just a couple hours a day, but it took me so long. Yeah, and it hasn't been backstitched, so right now it just looks kind of indistinct and blobby, but so long. I haven't stitched on this piece in, I think, all year up until this point, and I noticed with this one and with my Chatelaine, I felt very disconnected with them and kind of uninterested in continuing. In fact, with both pieces, yes, my Chatelaine and this one, I thought about selling them. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just not jiving with it. And it might be that it's so similar to the big giant piece I already finished, in that there's lots of color changes, lots of backstitching, kind of slow going. I don't know. I'm going to keep going. I'm definitely going to backstitch that section, and then maybe I'll put it away for a while again. I don't know. I just took a break, such a long break from some of these pieces that I don't usually do that. I usually just keep going through, and the sunlight is really not flattering. I just keep going through and through and through my whips that I feel engaged with them all, but these two have sat for so long that I don't know. Alright, I will show you my Chatelaine next. It is the Mushroom and Fern Mandala. It's going to look like this. Alright, last time I had talked to you about the tree color and how I didn't know if it was going to work out, and I am pleased to report that it has worked out. I am pleased with it. But again, I picked this up and was thinking, I'm just going to sell this project. It is hard to pick up and put down a Chatelaine, at least for me. It's not that the stitching itself is such a problem. It's kind of just a conglomeration of things. The first thing is the pattern. The pattern for this one, I don't know that they're all like this, but the pattern for this one is hard to deal with. I don't stitch, I stitch off paper, so I need to print it out. This whole pattern, which is huge, is on 4 pages. 4 pages. So you cannot just print out those 4 pages. You have to like select and enlarge and print, and then you've got all these pages. So the pattern is fussy to deal with, because not only are you dealing with a pattern, but then there's the pattern instructions, and so I'm like always rifling through papers. The supplies, even if you have them well organized, there's a ton of supplies. There's a ton of specialty flosses. You know, you've got your cards of Petite Treasure braid and your silk pearls, and like there's no way to like just keep everything, you know. So dealing with the pattern, dealing with the supplies, trying to figure out where you were, where you're going, where's the specialty stitches, where's the beads, it's just fussy. And so I picked it up and I was like, I'm not feeling it. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, so all that blah, blah, blah. And here's where I am. So this Chatelaine is going to have 4 of these mushroom arches, and then in the corners there's going to be corners that jut out here, and then there's big mushroom motifs in the corners. So altogether there are 8 of these gigantic trees, and just to give you an idea of how much stitching these trees involve, I used 6 yards. 6 yards. So originally I had ordered 4 10-yard skeins, so 40 yards, because I thought, you know, what are the chances I'm going to need more than 40 yards? Well, I need more than 40 yards for all 6 trees. 6 yards for this tree. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so I had a bunch of 1/1 mushrooms down here, which were fun. And I think they look really, I think just adding more colors is always interesting. There's a spider with a spider's web here and a little cute little butterfly. I'll give you a short close-up. So 1/1 mushrooms, leaf garland, spider, caterpillar, more leaf garland, and my first mushroom. Sweet. So I'm no longer entertaining serious thoughts that I'm going to sell this whip, but you never know. I get impulsive about getting rid of things, to be completely honest. I like getting rid of things. And so don't be too shocked and appalled if you see this like on Stash Unload. Alright, next is my gigantic finish. I adopted this piece from Nell at Little Yellow House Crafts, so link her channel down below. She had wanted to get rid of this and offered it to me, and I said, oh yes please. She got the first half stitched and then just a little chunk back stitched. I finished back stitching the first half, offered it back to her, and she said, no, you can keep it. So I did the bottom half and I love it. Here is the tip. If you would like to stare at something that you've completed but not yet FFO'd, just tuck the corners in with a pin and then hang it over a painting in your house. And then you can stare at it. Here is the winter sampler. This is by Sandy Orton. And you can find the pattern for this on Kooler Design Studio's website. This was a very rewarding project, very labor-intensive project, and I'm sorry about the weird sunlight. I made a few changes to this, and the most notable change is that Santa is now Ethiopian. And I think he looks really handsome. So if you're thinking about doing one of these projects, I'll just scroll through this very slowly as I speak to you. They are a lot of work. They're a ton of work. I really can't emphasize that enough. They're a lot of work. They're huge. No. My body for scale. They're huge. They have a lot of colors. They have a lot of back stitching. They're gorgeous. I will say that. They're gorgeous. They're a lot of fun. You're not going to get it done in 6 months unless you make it your full-time job and you don't eat or sleep. I was asked a few times on Instagram whether I was going to do the other seasons, and to be completely honest, the only other season that tempts me is summer, but I really don't think I can jump into another of these anytime soon. Yeah, I don't like having a bunch of huge projects going at the same time because I find it overwhelming. But yeah, I love this. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish it yet. I'm tempted to just do a wall hanging because I know I could, you know, if I wanted to, I could FFO this pretty quickly. But I kind of want to frame it because it's so pretty, and framing, I don't know, it seems more professional, fancy to do a frame. We'll see. But thank you so much, Nell. yeah, if Nell hadn't offered me her project, I wouldn't have this lovely, I wouldn't have this lovely piece done, and I love it, and I can't wait to add it to my handmade Christmas decorations. Alright. I FFO'd a ton of things last month. I decided to take my pile of finishes and seriously deal with all of them at Hobby Lobby. It took me 2 hours because I am a very indecisive person to find the perfect frame and finish for each one. However, I got so much done, and I was so happy that I did that. I would encourage you, if you have a pile of finishes and you're interested in turning most of them into FFOs, just take your pile, just take the whole pile. Take all of it to Hobby Lobby. Even if it's weird sizes, weird finishes, take it in, because they have so many wonky pieces of art that you can steal the frame off of and make, you know, finish that piece. If I hadn't had my pile, see, I always have the dimensions of my finishes. I've texted them to myself, and I always have a tape measure in my purse. So technically, I could have done this without my pile, but it's so much easier to take your pieces in because you can see how the colors in the piece play with the frame, and you can feel really satisfied that things are going to work because you're literally looking at the piece sitting on top of the frame. So yeah, take that pile in. And I think I did 7 things, all frames, and I paid, I think, $68. So that's nothing. That's literally nothing. And then I brought them home, I measured the dimensions of all the frames, and I sent my framer a text of all the acid-free foam core I wanted cut. I don't cut my own acid-free foam core. I could. I don't want to. Especially when the dimensions are 5/8 and 7/8. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to bring home the big sheets. I don't want to be I just send her all the dimensions. She does it within a couple days. I come home and I finish everything. It's so easy, and she doesn't charge me a whole lot for the fact that she's doing all this labor for me and cutting all these fiddly dimensions. So anyway, just some encouragement if you also have a pile that is getting too high. Alright, I will show you 5 of the things I finished because 2 are going to be new releases quite soon. The first thing I finished I've already given away. It is a pattern by the Sampler Girl called Jane Austen on a Bad Hair Day. If I am correct, I finished this for one of my besties who also has awesome hair, and here's what it looked like. I love how that turned out. It was a fun gift. Alright, I will show you the rest of the things. I have them right in front of me. This is an older pattern of mine. I had finished this in a bigger frame, so you could see this much Ada on all the 4 sides. It wasn't a great finish, so I refinished it in this lovely mustard frame. It is a quote, I think, by John Wayne? I don't remember, you'd have to look in my shop, but it says, "Happiness is having a large, loving, close-knit family in another city." And that will fit in a 5x7 frame. The second one, I cannot believe I found a frame for, but this was in like the weird, like kitchen-y, rustic, like license plate sort of aisle. I don't know, it had a metal sign in it that said something about family, but the dimensions were right for my Seeds of Freedom by Silver Creek Samplers. Alright, honestly, I think there's probably too much space on the top and on the bottom. I think I need to put like an embellishment or something down here. But it was close to 4th of July, so I had to get on the wall as fast as possible. Also, when you're finishing 7 things back to back, you're not really in the mood to stop and embellish. At least I'm not. But that works for now. Am I right? These next 2 are my favorite. I wanted to hang these together. They're not hanging together right now. I might just hang them together anyway. They don't really match. I wanted to kind of make them match. They're my mother and child pieces, and I didn't find frames that kind of look like they go together. And the pieces really don't have similar color palettes, so anyway. I found these 2 frames and I think they both fit their respective pieces really well and make the colors sing. But here's going to market. I love this purpley gray frame. It just made all of these colors pop even more. Really pretty. Love it so much. This frame did have sort of, I don't know. I couldn't honestly tell if the Ada was wanting to sit crooked or the frame is a bit crooked, but I had to fiddle with this for quite some time before I could get all the lines relatively straight. And if I stare at it long enough, I can tell that it's a little bit off, but I kept relining it and relining it and relining it. I think it looks fine. But yeah, sometimes you just, you almost feel like perfection is impossible when something is just a little bit off. But I think it looks amazing. And I'm so happy to have this on my wall finally. This next one I think is my favorite finish. I did put glass on it because I wanted to hang it in the kitchen. None of my other finishes have glass on them. And this piece means so much to me. This is Mother and Child, another piece of, well, it's design. The artwork was by Julia Cairns as well. It kind of goes with the theme of the other one. I love this. I think this frame really suits the piece. I was originally going to go with like an ornate gold frame, and that looked, but I just kept going and going back and forth of all the frame aisles until I finally tried this one out, and I was like, yep, that's it. Really gorgeous. So those are all the things I finished, like fully finished, and I'm proud of myself. Now all I have in my finished pile that's not on the wall, or at least suitable to get on the wall, is my Andafora Screw, Gigantic, and Song of Solomon ship sampler, which is kind of a wonky size, and I did look for a frame for that one but wasn't able to settle on one. The colors in that one are hard to know what to do with as far as the frame is concerned, so I don't want to order online. I want to actually be able to see it, but I might have to just take that one to my framer. I think that's all I had to share with you. Thanks for coming to join me again. Wait, I want to give you a sneak peek. Are you ready? My wedding anniversary is August 3rd, and I have had this piece finished and trying to get it to the point of publication for a little bit, and thought August 3rd would be the perfect time to release it because it is a love piece. So I'd like to give you a sneak peek if you don't mind. And August 3rd you can look for a new release from me. I'm going to try to carefully show you when I want to show you. Whoa. I'm so excited to show you. I'm so excited to put this one out into the world because it's very precious. Just you wait, Henry Higgins. That is all I had to share with you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for your comments, especially on my last video. Everyone kind of opened up the floodgates. I'm so thankful for all of your interactions. You can catch me on Facebook and Instagram at Lindy Stitches. My store is at lindystitches.com. I will catch you on the flip side. Bye, friends.